Taking Heart, Finding Our Way Together, the podcast of the International Students' Conference 2024. Hey everyone on the other end of the line, dear listeners. Today I have big news. Yeah, big news, because we are moving the conference to Belgium. Unfortunately, we'll have to do without the Goetheanum. But there were just so many registrations from Belgium that it makes more sense to organize the conference there than to have the young people traveling here. Well, just kidding, but happy 1st of April. I don't know if the tradition of talking rubbish also exists in your countries. I hope so. But the fact that today is the 1st of April really means something, namely that we have reached the month of the ISC. And in 9 days, everything will begin. Now there's still an important note for you, because we sent all of you a very short newsletter with some informations about the conference, informations about the registration, questions regarding the meals on the conference. And it would be very good if you just had a look in your email account, if you got the email, and in case there are still open questions or things you want or have to change, please do so. After having no guests in the last 2 episodes and talking to myself for you, today I'm sitting in front of the microphone with 2 guests who are even native speakers. So, lucky for all of you who don't have to listen to my broken English any longer. Isabel, Dancey and Madison Shulkin are from the United States and have both been working here in Dornach for some time on the puppets with which we will be performing the procession at the ISC. Today I'm going to ask them a few questions and let them talk about their work and why they have traveled so far to make puppets here in Switzerland. I have to say that it wasn't the only reason for both of them to get on the plane, as they also have other appointments and plans in Europe. In these times of climate crisis, no one should make the decision to take a plane lightly. However, Madison and Isabel have been here for a while now and have already gained experience in this particular trade. Can you tell me a bit about yourselves first? How old are you and what made you decide to come here?
Yeah, hi, this is Isabel speaking. I'm 22. I grew up and went to Waldorf school in a rural area, and I've always connected with the anthroposophical world. I've been born into it, and so coming here was very comfortable for me. I was like, oh yeah, this is what I want to be doing.
I'm Madison Shulkin, and I am a 21-year-old musician based out of upstate New York, so about 2.5 hours north of the city. And I was homeschooled, Waldorf inspired. However, I have never attended a Waldorf school. And puppetry has been quite present in my life, between marionettes to larger puppets doing music or helping with creation. And I was very overjoyed and excited to help out in any way I could. And so I came at the beginning of March and have been helping since then. So, yeah.
For me, this is my first experience with this kind of puppetry. We're building puppets that are 4 meters high and puppet sets that are relatively sized for the size of the puppets. So it's a lot of big cutting out of cardboard
Yeah.
and paper mache. But I haven't experienced it before, and it's a lot of fun. You can make some really incredible live images.
Yeah, that's right. That's also my impression from seeing you working in the studio, which is, by the way, only maybe 25 meters away from the youth section house, which is pretty cool. And we only rented it, I don't know, 2 months ago or even shorter. It's such a cool place with a very high ceiling. And now we have already 4 very big, I would say those are puppets already.
The main characters.
Yeah, I have worked on several puppet shows, actually some with Nathaniel as well. Not to this scale quite, I would say, but I have done puppets that were backpack puppets, and so they were about maybe just under 2.5, 3 meters tall, maybe. So yes, I have that experience. However, this specific time, I'm much more involved in the creation. In the past, I've been a musician and was collaborating on the musical front, and this time I've gotten the chance to explore the creative side, which has been very enjoyable for me.
Can you tell me what was the best experience that you've had so far in the studio? Like, what was a magical moment of first putting paint on a face of a puppet? Or...
Yeah, actually, recently our last, not challenge, but last puppet that we created was the eagle, or we're in the process of creating. And that was really fun because we had creative freedom to do with it as we would. And we chose to create a frame with wire to then paper mache over. And we have been working with cardboard to create our hands and then clay for the faces. But this time we had to come up with some crazy idea to make the bird work out.
Yeah, we've done a whole variety of building methods. Which, I didn't really realize, like, every single puppet we've built has gone through a different process.
Is that also because we don't have a huge amount of the same material, so we have to use, or do we actually have enough of all of those materials?
Well, I actually think that it has to do with the different parts of the puppet. I mean, Nathaniel gave direction for these things, and the faces, the heads have lots of, convexities and concavities, rounded places. Yeah, and just the shape of a face is best expressed through sculpture and clay. And then with the hands, which were the next step in the process, was like, we're not going to mold giant hands out of clay.
No, but we've also been, this weekend, we devoted a lot of time towards flat puppets. So stepping away from the 3D and doing more cardboard, flat animals,
flattering
and
puppets.
Warriors, which has been really fun and easy, or time-consuming, but less...
Well, time-consuming, but we're mass-producing them.
Yes, precisely, yes. Well said.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering, of course, this might be different for every individual, but when do the puppets, which, as you said, are nearly 4 meters high when they are played, when do they actually come to life? When they are moved, or perhaps already when they are painted, or even before? Is it connected to the imagination of the viewer maybe coming into the studio?
I would say that along the process of production, there are always moments where you can imagine the puppet in full motion, alive, even in the beginning when you first create the arm, which you did so well, Noelle, out of cardboard. You already see the life in that, and your imagination, it's actually very, very challenging and fun to imagine what that's going to look like. But I would say once you put the clothing on and it's a puppet, even if the face isn't painted, it's like, oh wow, this is actually has a real presence and it's alive.
Mm-hmm. For me, that I realized in the very beginning, I started from the very beginning making the faces, and I started with very rudimentary sketches. And from that point on, you just start living with the people who are the puppets, the characters in the story. Yeah, so when you look at the faces that are now painted now and have the whites of the eyes, they have lips and expressions. I think building puppets from the very beginning, you really have to start growing the seed, sort of meditating on who they are from the very beginning.
Isabel, I hear something very interesting in here. So, to what extent is the story that is played out decisive for the physical representation of the puppets. What I mean by that is you can't play every story with every puppet, right? I mean, I have the feeling that unique individual characters are created here who already know their role pretty well. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
Yeah, and along with the idea of life and sketches, we also have a couple paintings and sketches on the wall, which really help to tie this story in and having a thread throughout the production process as well of being able, it's just all over, you know, this life and the story, and we talk about the story. So it's always alive in some way.
I was just saying to the audience that they could have a look at all those paintings that you attach to the wall with a stapler. But actually the studio will transform into a dormitory during the conference because we use every space we can get to put you to sleep, you 600, 700.
It's going to be an awesome place to sleep.
Yeah, you'll have the privilege of sleeping in the puppet studio. It really is nice.
What I heard Nathaniel talking about a lot, it seems quite important for him, is what distinguishes this form of storytelling from other ways to tell stories like films, even books, radio, or theater plays.
Do you have an answer for that?
Well, the beginning of one at least, and that's they're not people, and you can't really judge them. You can't judge them hard. And the experience of watching a movie is immediately, first judgment is on the characters. And with puppets, the story can kind of play out in a way that's, symbolic.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point with the judgment element of puppets are so innocent in some way, and they're so beautiful and so graceful. And I also think another part to that is also the imagination part, which is the puppets are only so much of human, and we imagine, our imagination is working alongside our viewing to create this story, and everyone's imagination is unique, and everyone will have a different experience around it, which is a beautiful part of puppetry. It's not shouting in your face or so.
Yeah.
Actually, I recently listened to a puppeteer who told a story with a only 20 centimeter tall puppet, like a really small one. But I realized that in this form of storytelling, the audience is just as involved as the performer is. So that's what she told us. She said the audience is nearly 50% of puppet play, and the puppet can be brought to life only through their imagination.
Right.
Or I don't know, maybe it's also 33% them and 33% the others, and the puppet itself also brings something into it. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that that's relevant in a lot of art forms, actually. The audience is such a large part of the production, whether it be a play or a piece of music. The audience are very involved.
Yeah, I would say even 2D artwork, painting, drawing.
In this sense, we're going to put a lot of strain on passers-by in Basel. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, something Nathaniel has brought through this art form is involving as much as possible the audience, like really involving. So the conference population, all of us are going to be watching this play and at the same time creating it. That's really interesting.
Yeah, we are so many people. We are actually, we already have a very big audience, right?
Yeah, Nathaniel said that even if no one shows up, he's going to have the most participants watching this production. But that is such a beautiful image of being an observer, yet also a performer.
Maybe this is kind of mirroring how we should actually live our everyday life.
Yeah.
We are always performer and perceive at the same time in the best way.
Yeah, and also in community, we're creating with many people. It's and the same with the puppet. It's like there's going to be a ton of us, all sharing this story, yet also all watching it.
To what degree is the story that we are playing for you also of importance?
I would love to dovetail off by saying that yes, Nathaniel's enthusiasm and love and connection to this story light a little fire regarding this story firstly. And then also I think that this story is about peace and love and acceptance. And I think that regardless of the nation or the language, that we all can connect to that so deeply. And I believe that every time, everywhere, it's always beautiful to share a story with those.
That is also what Kay Olan wrote to us in a very beautiful quote that you, the audience, will be reading in our conference booklet. You can read there what the intention is. I really agree, because for me, when this story was brought up half a year ago, and this idea, in me, this idea involved of, okay, wow, we can make this youth conference not just a youth conference with a festival character, which I don't really like, but a youth conference with a meaning being more important, especially in our times right now that we are living in, meaning a story of peace. And what would be a better way to do this than telling the one peace story that is so old and so universal in its language. I'm really glad that we are doing it, and I'm really glad that you are doing it and building those puppets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're honored to be here.
You are so welcome. Anytime. I love it.
That was today's episode, and I wish you a wonderful week. See you next time. Bye bye.